Hello, welcome to Lesson 8, Finding the Slope when given two ordered pairs. Today we are going to practice finding the slope when all we are given are our x and y values. So, an ordered pair is simply an x and a y value with x coming first and y coming second. If you have a hard time remembering which one comes first, think of ABC order. Okay? So there's a formula to find the slope when given two ordered pairs. So slope is going to be equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And that always confuses some of my students. So I like to simplify it a little bit more. And I will say subtract your y's on top. Okay? So subtract your y's in the numerator position. And then you would also subtract your x's in your denominator's position. Okay, so this is the official slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so I will leave that on the board and let's practice plugging in some values into that formula. So if we had the ordered pair 2 and 3 and 0 and negative 1, okay, all we would simply have to do is to subtract our y's on top. But according to this formula, we would start with the back set of parentheses. Because technically, this is our first x value, this is our first y value. And the same thing over here. Okay, so we're going to go straight by the book. Okay, strictly by the book. And we're going to use this formula. So y2, let me fix that. Our second y value would be negative 1. So negative 1 minus 3. Okay? Those are our y values. x2 would be 0. x1 would be 2. Okay? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to solve the problem using my integer rules. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And what do we know about two negatives? They make a positive, okay? And what is 4 divided by 2? That is a positive 2. Now, that is us using this formula strictly, okay? But remember that I told you that some of my students get confused, with the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That always confuses them because it seems really, really official. So what I like to do is I simplify that by saying, let's just subtract our y's on top, okay? And we will subtract our x's on the bottom, okay? But there's a rule to it. If I'm going to start with my y, let's use those same two numbers again, okay? All right, let's use these same two ordered pairs. If I said in any order, subtract your y's on top, subtract your x's on the bottom, let's pretend I want to start with 3 this time. Well, since I started with 3, okay, the first set of parentheses for my y's, I have to start with 2, the first x value, okay? So 3 minus negative 1 divided by 2 minus 0. Well, look at what's going to happen. 3 minus negative 1 is a positive 4. 2 minus 0 is a positive 2. And I'm still left with the same slope, okay? Again, the official definition, the official formula says y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. But did we get the same slope? Yes, we did. But we had to make sure whichever parentheses I start with for my y's, I have to start there for my x's in the denominator position. All right, so let's try again. If I confused you, you'll catch on by our third example, I promise you. Okay? All right, so if I would just leave, subtract your y's on top and subtract your x's on the bottom, okay? Numerator divided by denominator. If I just said that, let's see if you can get the hang of it. So if I have 1 and 4 and maybe 5 and 6, okay? Subtract my y's on top. 4 minus 6. Remember, my y's are at the back of the parentheses. They're the second value. in the ordered pair. Subtract my x's on the bottom. And look, since I started with 4 in the first set of parentheses, I have to start with 1, okay? 1 minus 5, okay? So our answer would be -2 divided by -4. 2 negatives would make a positive. And when I reduce that fraction, it ends up being 1/2. Now, let me show you what would happen if I would use our official formula, which was y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, okay? I should still come up with the same answer, and I guarantee you I'm going to. So the second y value would be 6. 6 minus 4, okay? 6 minus 4. Since I started with the second set of parentheses for my y's, I have to start here again for my x's, which would be 5 minus 1. And I am left with 2 divided by 4, positive 2/4 equals a 1/2. Did we get the same slope? Absolutely. Now, what I want to show you is what will happen if I don't stay in the correct order. So if I said 4 minus 6, okay? 4 minus 6. I subtracted my y's, and then I said 5 minus 1, okay? And look at what I did. I started with the first set of parentheses for my y's, 4 minus 6, but for my subtraction of my x's, I started in the second set of parentheses. I chose 5. And our answer now would be -2 over 4, which reduces to a -1/2. Are those two slopes the same? No, they're not. There's a big difference between a positive and a negative. Think about money. Positive 50 cents, negative 50 cents. Okay, would you rather have 50 cents or someone owe you 50 cents? Okay, it's always better to be in the positive. All right, so let's keep going. All right, what if we have a 0 and a -1, and let's do a -9 and a +8. Okay, so where do we want to begin? I know I'm going to subtract my y's on top and my x's on the bottom. My y's, -1 minus 8. Okay, look at what I did. I started with the first set of parentheses for my y's. I have to start with my first set of parentheses for my x's, 0 minus -9. And look, I didn't just say 0 minus 9. I said 0 minus -9. Okay, what do you know about two negatives? Two negatives, we're going to clean it up, and they're going to become a positive. So my denominator would become a +9. -1 minus 8 would be -9. And if I clean it up, I simplify my fraction, I would simply have -1. Okay? Again, using the official slope formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So the second value of y would be 8. 8 minus -1. Okay, following this formula, okay, -9 minus 0. And I'm still going to come up with the same slope. Two negatives make a positive, so I've got 9. -9 minus nothing is -9. And do we still get the same slope? Absolutely. So it's your choice, whatever you prefer to do. It's always nice to know the official formula. Okay, here it is. But once you realize that you can subtract your y's on top, whether you start with the first set of parentheses or the second, life's going to be a little bit easier for you. Now, let's pretend that you forget this formula, and maybe you're taking a quiz or maybe a test, and you need to find that slope. You're good at counting to find the slope, but you forgot the formula. All you have to do is simply plot those points. Okay, plot your ordered pairs. 0 and -1. That would be there. Okay, 0 and -1. -9 and 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what you can do is you can plot your ordered pairs, and then you can count. I'll go ahead and try to draw my line as straight as I can. So now we made the line, And you can simply count like we did in our last lesson to find the slope. This is only if you forget the formula, okay? It's easier to me if you just plug those numbers in and do a little bit of math. Some people may prefer this method, and that's okay. So I would count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, went down 9 units, and I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. And you may be thinking, well, you came up with a different slope, but look at the direction of my line. It's a negative slope, so I know that my final answer would be -1. Thanks for tuning in to Lesson 8, and I'll see you in Lesson 9.